Coach.
You good?
I'm good.
Andy, you had said before camp started that protecting the passer was a pretty big directive, especially after the bowl. How has that gone, and can you tell if this team's better at protecting Kyle?
We are doing a much better in pass protection. Schematically, individual techniques have improved. The sense of awareness by the quarterback getting the ball out of his hand has improved. So I would say that we are making progress with that, with still plenty of room to go with a couple weeks here before the open.
Justin School was pretty settled in at right tackle. He's the more experienced guy. You move him to left. Is that just based on experience, or is he your best tackle moving to left?
He is our best tackle, and that's where we want to play our best tackle at the left side, protecting the quarterback's backside. It's been a nice, smooth transition for him, so I don't see that being any issue.
So that's not overplayed. The left tackle has to be your best guy. Obviously, that's the blind side, but you're a believer in that blind side's got to be that much better.
Yes, absolutely.
You've had a couple of offensive linemen this time here. How much of what you're doing in shuffling is adjusted for that? How much of it is just what you would do anyway?
It's a challenge when you're changing, because you're trying to develop chemistry in those five guys. But the thing that it does, it gives the sixth and seventh player an opportunity. And hopefully, though, those guys aren't looking back. They're going to make the most of that opportunity, possibly seize the job, and move on from there.
How do you go about making those decisions? Because you guys have said you want the best five on the field, but the best five and the best chemistry five may not be the same answer. So how do you make these decisions then?
So this evaluation from this scrimmage will be a large part of it. This was the last final big scrimmage before we get going into game preparation. So we'll grade that out, compare this scrimmage to scrimmage 1 and 2, day-to-day grades, things of that nature, and make a decision, move on from there.
How do you gauge Devin Cochran's progress so far?
He's done a nice job. You know, he started at left tackle the first couple days. We switched him over to right. He took a lot of reps at right tackle in the spring, so that's been good. He's got some physical development yet ahead of him, but schematically, he's sound. Technique, he's getting better, so there's still tremendous upside with the redshirt freshman, but I'm pleased with where he is right now, as long as he continues to improve every day.
You saw the wide receivers develop some really good chemistry with Kyle Shermer at the end of last season. How have you seen that kind of take off from there and flourish even more?
Yeah, it's really shown up, you know. And again, it's a veteran group. There's 4 senior wideouts. Kyle's a junior. They played a lot of football together. The system hasn't changed. They've invested a lot of their own time in getting better with that chemistry, with the route structure, with the throws. And I think you saw it today. There was a lot of pitch and catch plays, and that's what we got to have.
You also saw the wideouts account for over 30 yards from the previous year, last year. How is Coach Hankton preparing them for this upcoming season and all the hype that's around the wide receivers, and particularly
they don't buy into the hype. They put a lot of pressure on themselves in the meeting room. They challenge each other. They challenge the defensive backs. The defensive backs challenge right back in practice. And that group is very focused, very driven, and again, senior based, and so we look for large production from that crew.
We talked to Trent Sherfield the other day. He was very critical of himself about drops and said he worked a lot in the offseason on that. What's been your perception of how Trent has tried to fix anything that's a problem for him?
Well, nobody works harder than Trent, so the thing that we continue to talk to Trent about is make sure the last play's over. We got to make sure we move on to the next one. But Trent is very driven and very focused, so what he needs to do is just continue to lead the way with his work ethic and production, and we're going to be in very good shape.
Andy, who are the 2 or 3 players on your offense that have had the biggest gains in the fall?
Jared Pinkney would be one. I think Dallas Rivers had really stepped up, being a fullback tailback, would be the second one that comes to mind. Jamari Wakefield, as a redshirt freshman, has really shown flashes, needs to develop a little bit more consistent in his day-to-day approach. But I would think off the top of my head, those would be the 3 guys I would mention first.
Is there a challenge to get touches for Jamari? Obviously, you're deep at running back.
That's a great challenge to have, so take it.
It's not fair maybe sometimes to compare Dallas to other guys, because in short yardage, your yards per carry may be a little lower, but I would presume you have tailbacks that have been more productive in him in running the ball, but if he's on the field, I would presume that means you're really happy with the pass protection and the other things that he does that we don't see. Is that a fair way to look at it?
Dallas, the one thing with that, there's such a high level of trust, because you can put him at the fullback position, tailback position. We're moving the fullback out on the perimeter a little bit to do some route running. There's a total mastery of the scheme. The kid's got great confidence and football intellect, so that earns your spot. And he's tough. He's really stepped up and taken those fullback snaps, and we appreciate that. And that's one of the catalysts of the offense, the fullbacks.
Is there a certain makeup of a guy that can do that more, play multiple positions, and kind of accept that he's maybe going to have to play different positions?
Confidence in yourself that, hey, the game's slow enough for you. I can line up in a 3-point stance 4 yards behind the O-line and kick out, or I can be at toes at 7.5, run in the inside zone, or I can play. It's confidence in your abilities and in what we're doing offensively, and Dallas has tremendous confidence.
When you guys met with the Patriots, how eye-opening was that in terms of the things you learned that you're taking forward into this year?
It was an unbelievable experience just to be around Coach Belichick and the culture first and foremost. The scheme, there's some plays that are similar to ours that we've learned and developed and incorporated some of their thought process with those plays, but that offense and that approach is at a completely different level. The continuity that they've had in the offensive system theirs has been around as long as Coach Belichick, so that's a long time. But just the culture and the work-like approach that every player had in the mini camp in early June was an awesome experience to witness.
Is it safe to say they don't do that with a lot of staffs?
I can't speak to that. My impression, though, is we are one of the select full staffs with full access. I mean, we were in team meetings, position meetings, walkthroughs, so on.
You mentioned Jared Pinkney having one of the better fall camps. How would you assess the tight end group as a whole and what it performs?
I have a lot of confidence in that group. We're not very deep. We got what I consider three legitimate players. With Sam Dobbs is kind of a utility player. He can be a wideout and move behind the line of scrimmage, not very good anchored on the line of scrimmage. Nathan Marcus and Jared Pinkney can do either or, can be line of scrimmage players or move players. Cody Markle, a redshirt freshman, will step up, end up playing one of the line of scrimmage tight ends. So I like the skill set of the group. There's just not a lot of depth, so we got to be careful about how many multiple tight end plays we carry in a single game.
One more. Have you guys made any major offensive changes over the offseason due to successes within Vanderbilt, at least seen last season, or by other programs in the SEC or throughout the country?
Not major changes. Year to year, it's a player-driven game, so anything we're doing is based more on this guy has really developed his skill set, or he's grown up in the system, so he can do a little bit more. We can ask a little bit more of him. So that would apply to Jared Pinkney. That applies to Kyle Shermer, where you're trying to utilize their skill set a little bit more.
Thanks, Andy.
Thanks so much.